let's assume that I'm an alien from another planet, or an American. So how would you describe the evolution of Filipino art since we're reflecting on 50 years, over the last 50 years? In a nutshell, somebody who really doesn't know anything.
That's what I'm writing about for alt right now. And I just went down a massive rabbit hole. But I think these people too can address the question. And I think from an, Scott, I will put this in a context. I'm an insider-outsider, and so is Silvana. But then you understand what that can mean, right? And the kind of criticism. I love hearing gossip about myself, because it's like, you really don't know me. Even people that I've known here for 40 years. I can move in and out of places. I was raised that way, and for me, that's probably one of the greatest gifts that Silvana and I have, and that we would like to also share. So when you talk about evolution, I brought up ebbs and flows. We're constantly going back and forth. I mean, evolution is not necessarily forward. You know what I mean? But so over the last 50 years, the growth again has been exponential. Not just in terms of the artists and the numbers of galleries again and museums. There's that literal kind of growth and critical mass. When you look at the art fairs here, you're not going to see young people. You might see some people taking selfies in the armory and friezes and in art fairs, but not really. They're collectors. They're there to buy. One of the things that I feel the Philippines can be different at is, at the beginning of Art Fair Philippines, you got like 56,000 people in there, young. I mean, and I was working with Silvana and other galleries, and I'm like tapping on young people's shoulders. Can you not take a selfie? Can you turn around and just look at the art? So that is not evolutionary. That is now. Okay, and yes, can I be righteous? Yes. But the righteousness comes out of different forms of analyses, as not just as an insider, outsider, but again as all the hats that I wear. And that I keep going back to evolution. The changes that have occurred are not in keeping with what's needed to sustain. And what's needed to sustain, as you all know, is financial support. Real financial support. There are no foundations. The museums are not buying the art. Some of our greatest art is in Singapore, is in the Tate Gallery, is now moving into MoMA. Wonderful. These are my friends. I'm very happy for them. But what about this country? We need it coming from the inside. And that is something I am going to say tonight, and I'll probably upset some people. But I'm very frank about these things because I'm very proud of where I come from. And I wasn't born in this. I worked really hard to know my histories. And I teach them in the United States, and comparatively too. It's not just about the Philippines, but I think it is important to recognize what are the developments in this country in relationship to the region. I was just having an incredible conversation yesterday about Thailand. Thailand has surpassed us across the board. Okay? In the 70s, Bangkok wanted to be Manila. Bangkok no longer wants to be Manila. I don't even know if Manila wants to be Manila. But you think about, he brought up, he's a half Filipino, half American, and a very big New York artist. And we were talking about what's happening, okay? So when one looks at what happened over the last 50 years, I'm almost feeling like I need to start with now and look backwards and see where the now in the region is. I don't know what happened to us. You know, in 1938, We had the first quote unquote modern artists. What happened to us? And I have to watch myself, because what I need to do more is study, learn, see how they did these things in Thailand, in Indonesia. Singapore, no. Singapore is a first nation economically. It's first world. Okay? We are not. We waver in between, we vacillate between second and third world economy. And we're being supported by the overseas workers. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that this country needs to take into consideration of economic, social, political growth in relationship to art and cultural growth. And then what happens to heritages.
All that stuff is on the lower level.
And we need to raise
anyway,
it,
so yeah.
right? And I think that, I mean, again, just to go back to this little discussion yesterday, where I was like asking these questions, okay, what do you think on some level could help the Philippine scene? And it's turned to, well, we don't need art fairs, we need biennales, which I found very interesting. Local. And there have been, I mean, Viva, look at how successful they are. In the Visayas, they're 32 years. Okay? But they deserve more international support. Okay? Yeah. Again, first and foremost, we need various different forms of patronage. Real ones. Yeah. Real ones who aren't going to say, oh, but what am I getting from this? Yeah. No, and this is part of a huge discussion that we had about Thailand. There are people in there who were putting in lots of money, and it's not about what do I get in return. The return is your love for art, culture in your country.
To sustain it and keep it going for the next decade or so.
More than that. More than that. You all have the capacity to participate in the growth. Okay.
Because your ancestral heritage, what they created and they started, has to be go follow up.
Yeah.
There is a responsibility of of being Filipino, being Italian. You have to preserve the beauty. It's like when you treasure something that your mother has, right?
Of course, yeah.
And so for me, it's extremely important that you put together everything of like indigenous, all these indigenous that are here, even your plants, the weaving. This has to be treasured because it changes. You know, and if you don't give importance to this, it disappears.
It disappears.
Who take advantage of this are foreigners. Because I remember there were Frenchmen, there were other men that were here who loved the indigenous design.